This is the third time that Jesus predicts that he's going to suffer the passion. And every time that he says it, the disciples get it wrong. They're a thick group. First time he says it, he says the Son of Man must suffer. What does Peter say? Don't say that. They'll get the wrong idea. And he says, get behind me, Satan. Second time he says it, he predicts he's going to die. And they're talking about who's most important among them. Third time, Jesus predicts in very graphic detail how he's going to die. James and John come up, and they say, when you die, can we get the inheritance? They don't get it. In fact, in the Gospel of Mark, when Jesus goes out to the desert, remember how in Matthew and Luke he's tempted 3 times? In Mark, they don't mention it. They don't have to. The disciples did a good enough job. Why are the disciples so thick? Because we're all that thick. We think we have it all worked out, and then all of a sudden, 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, we say to ourselves, why didn't I realize this before? Why did it take so long for me to figure this out? Why is that? Because our faith grows in God's time and not our time. We would like to have all the truth when we're young. Remember the old saying, would that I have the wisdom I have at 70, but the energy I had at 20. It takes a while to grow in the faith. It takes a while to realize what the consequences are of some of our choices, and to realize that this is not what a Christian should be doing. We shouldn't beat ourselves up for the fact that this journey of faith takes a long time. The goodness of the journey lies in the fact that we keep working at it, not in the fact that we succeed all the time, but we keep going along and doing our best, and tomorrow a little bit better. But what is Jesus calling the disciples to? What don't they get? They look at Jesus as someone who's going to supply every one of their needs, whereas Jesus is the one who's going to teach them how to die to themselves, to serve others. They don't want to hear that. When you get to heaven, which would you rather do? Sit on a chaise lounge with 2 angels having ostrich feather fans and 2 angels peeling grapes to drop in your mouth? Or would you like to wash feet for the rest of eternity? Or some other dirty job like that? I think most of us would choose door A. Jesus came to earth to teach us that to be God-like is not to have power, not to have everything we want. It's to serve. I'll give you a good example of that. Young man, 70 years old, looking younger every day, thought that when he retired, it would be easy. But he has a 92-year-old dad who's kind of cranky, wants to live in his own house, and the 70-year-old has to take care of dad. What's his response? Does he look at it as a curse, as an obligation, or as a vocation? That it's God who called him to that service. A family with a 22-year-old boy who's just been diagnosed with schizophrenia. His life will never be normal again. The parents will have to watch out for him, protect him. Again, curse or vocation. We don't know why God places these challenges in our life, but we do know the way we can respond to be God-like is to embrace our crosses and carry them with love. Because if we look at it as an obligation that I have to perform, the person we're serving will be able to sense that. You would rather not have me around. But if we look at it as a blessed call to holiness, a call that I would never have chosen, but I know God has chosen for me, then we end up having a lot of peace because we're not fighting it anymore, and we end up having a lot of joy. Remember, joy is not happiness. Happiness, I buy 2 dozen Krispy Kreme donuts for the Friars. Get stuck in traffic, so I come into the Friary saying, "Oh, I bought you a dozen donuts." Won't say where the other dozen went. That's happiness. Joy is knowing where I am where I'm supposed to be, because this is God's call. Mary, under the cross, was not happy, but she was joy-filled because she saw her son loving in a way that seemed impossible. And that's what we're called to. Now, one last thought. Since we have a Jewish God, sometimes in these situations we say, "Why, God? Why me?" And what does the Jewish God respond? "Why not?"